Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? Welcome to the One Man Low Council. Hope everyone has had a great start to their week. It's been pretty much the same old over here in Asgard. The remote learning / teaching continues. The struggle continues. Staying in at home under lock and key, it seems. We are still under a stay-at-home order by our mayor all the way through April 13th, with the option of it being extended, which means we are only allowed to travel for emergency situations, going to get things like groceries, visiting people who are sick, etc., which is not really affected me all that much because I'm pretty much a homebody in the first place. So what I've been doing is doing my remote teaching, doing a lot of digitizing of my media library. I've actually gotten to the point now where I'm opening up the boxes that I said I was not going to open, but I figured what I can do is I can keep it still organized so that once I'm done with the box, it just goes right back into the box and it's not going to be as much of an issue. And so I think I'll be able to finish the box next to me probably sometime tomorrow if I'm lucky. We'll see just how things go with that. And it's been an experience. It's been fun too. I think I'm about halfway through, or almost halfway through, filling my hard drive. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to get all of the movies on my library on there. What I failed to realize was that I have a lot of Blu-rays that have multiple films on them, either having multiple discs in an actual sleeve, or in some cases even having multiple movies on on various discs as well. And that's taking up a little bit more space and a little bit more room. But I think I'll be okay. I think that I'll be able to get through it overall. And that's been what's going on. But as you can see, big news of today has to do with AMC. So before I get into the chat and start saying hello to people, let me go ahead and just do my spiel real quick. So let me see if I can pull this up for everyone to go see. All right, news report screen. Boom, there it is. So as you can see, this is coming from Yahoo News. AMC theaters might not survive the beer bug outbreak, according to reports. And so this is not just some random site. This is Yahoo News. And of course, I could go off on a tangent about some of the nonsense put out by mainstream media outlets, including Yahoo News. But when it comes to stuff like this, I take them more at their word. And so this is, of course, talking about AMC and how AMC was already in financial trouble before the beer bug hit. And now it looks like it could be lights out for the entire country. I know, for the entire company. I know that Gary, my Valkyrie Tina, thank you for Tina for letting me know this. Apparently Gary on his stream has been covering that they are filing for bankruptcy. The news that I've been looking at hasn't shown that they're doing that quite yet. However, because of downgrades, it's pretty much inevitable at this point. So this is the most latest news we have. A majority of southwestern Pennsylvania movie screens could remain dark even after the beer bug outbreak ends. Financial analysts say AMC, the nation's largest theater chain, might be forced to permanently close as a result of the pandemic. Permanently close. S&P Global has downgraded AMC's credit rating to default imminent with little prospect for recovery, further placing into doubt the future of a company that had a $5 billion deficit at the end of 2019. AMC theaters have been closed since mid-March because of the outbreak, and AMC officials have said they might not reopen until June. S&P believes that projection is overly optimistic. S&P analysts said, while there is a high degree of uncertainty about the rate of the beer bug spread and when the pandemic will peak, some government authorities estimate that that peak will occur between June and August. And of course, this all really depends on where you are in the country, where you are in the world. Every single place is going to be going at different rates, but AMC is obviously a national company here in the US, but also it's owned by a Chinese company, which means that it is also now outside, or at least interests in AMC are now well outside of just the United States as well, and those could easily be impacted. And this is very sad news for me. I've made it very clear during several streams now that I used to work for an AMC. I actually worked as a supervisor there for a few years, and it was a really great experience for me. I love the managers that I work with. I love the film crew. I loved even being on film crew from time to time. There were crazy moments too. Again, being in the concession stand during the opening night of a Harry Potter, or during one of the last opening nights of a freaking Twilight movie was one of the worst experiences of my life because it's just so many people. But even with that, it was a great experience for me. I got to see a bunch of movies for free. I got to learn a lot about the exhibition industry. I was in charge of money towards the end. I was also in charge of putting the playlist together. So when you go to a movie and you have all the trailers and all the in-between stuff, I was the one that was in charge of putting everything there, making sure everything was in place, which is actually easier than you would think now that everything is automated and digital. It's basically just plugging, playing, and testing and just making sure everything's right. But even in that being the case, like, I got so involved with it that I just loved it. And one of my favorite things was we'd get these emails from the bookers, and they would tell us what movies we'd be getting. And to be one of the first persons to know, oh, we'll be getting this independent film that I was really interested in seeing, or whether this film would be doing as well, was just, again, nerdy stuff for me. Was exciting. And so I have a lot of positive memories of AMC. They as a company treated me as well as they could. I mean, obviously I didn't get paid crazy amounts of money, but most companies wouldn't pay that much money, especially at that level tier. And when we be honest, working in a movie theater was never meant to be a long-term job. It's those types of jobs are meant to be the way that you enter the workforce and build your way up. Had I stayed there, had I not felt the calling and felt the vocation to be a teacher, I probably would have stayed. And I think that there's a decent chance that I could have been a manager, and who knows what would have happened from there. But now, looking in retrospect with all of this, of course, I'm still happy that I chose teaching, because it is, I think, the calling that I have in life, and I do enjoy it. But also with this happening now, in retrospect, the company that I could have potentially dedicated some time to is looking like it will no longer exist after all of this is said and done. Now, this is not taking into account government intervention. This is not taking into account whether or not they'll be able to possibly refinance or get some loans or anything to that effect. So we'll have to wait and see when all this is said and done and when the dust settles. But yeah, S&P, lowering the credit rating to, this is the wording of this, default imminent with little prospect for recovery, meaning that S&P has no faith whatsoever that they will not default on their loans. Again, already having been in $5 billion deficit before all of this happened. And it's very sad. It makes me very sad. As I said, I'm mostly pro AMC, and also they own most of the movie theaters near me and are one of the biggest movie theater chains in the world. And so the question that I have is this potentially the end of movie theaters as we know it, right? So not the end of movie theaters altogether, but as we know it, being able just to go at a random time in the evening, going to see a movie. These are the things that could change, because if this entire company shuts down, you either have other companies that might come in. Again, they might come in and buy up the theaters and keep them open. What most likely would happen would be if AMC shuts down altogether, a lot of their theaters don't ever reopen, and they just sit there taking up space, get demolished, or get replaced with something else, which is just very sad, especially for any theaters that were built as theaters and not converted into theaters after the fact. That's just really sad to me. It makes me wish that I had millions of dollars, because it would be awesome to own a theater and decide and determine what movies to show and what kind of experiences to give. But this is what we're dealing with right now, and it's just absolutely crazy. And before getting into the chat, saying hello to everybody, I do want to shout out. So NG1TEAV super chatted $3 at the end of the last stream. I thanked him in the chat, but I wasn't able to thank him in person, because by that point, the shout outs to the patrons were already rolling. And so this is just insane. So just let me know your own thoughts about this. Do you have any positive experiences with AMC, negative ones, thoughts about the movie-going industry altogether? Again, I think that this could easily have a tremendous impact on the future of cinema, and not in the best way possible. And it does make me very, very sad. So let me start off with D-Live first, since it's usually less people over there and easier to get through quickly. So Mr. Peabody, thank you very, very much, good sir, for becoming a subscriber on D-Live. Captain Mr. Peabody, thank you so much for that, man. I really do appreciate it. As Adam, Frank, and the clan say, stay at home, humans. Indeed. Captain K-Man is here saying, what up, D-Live? What is going on? How's it going? Adam says, Odin, funny, AMC just bought our local theater last year. And it's funny, but it's also sad too, because with them possibly closing out, who's going to own that theater? Will the theater reopen at all? If this, the one positive, one silver lining I could see is that if this leads to maybe a lot of business people, right? Some local business people deciding, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and open up our own local poppin', mom and pop type joint. type theater. That could be kind of cool to see a renaissance in locally owned stuff, not corporate owned stuff. But as I said, that probably won't happen overnight, and we'll probably have a strong lack of theaters, more so than anything else. Adam says also, yeah, I bought a yearly popcorn bucket this year. Arg, I did too, man. And I know that they've already taken care of AMC members. They've already paused those memberships automatically. A big question is going to be, are they going to, if they do reopen, are they going to try and make it up to those people? I mean, if it was me, I'd say, all right, we'll extend it and say your popcorn buckets go through 2021. But seeing that they were $5 billion in the red last year, I don't think they'll be able to keep on going with their AMC A-list, because even though studies show that most people don't use the 3 movies you get a week with your AMC A-list, at the end of the day, you do still have a lot of people that do get the most money out of it, that do end up almost making money off of it instead of spending. And with those people, you could potentially see more of a loss. And so I don't know what they'll be able to offer if and when they're actually able to reopen. Captain Peabody says, time for Odin to buy a theater and show the good stuff. Dude, if I had the finances and the ability to do so, that would be great. That would be awesome. And that's something where it's like maybe years down the road, like during retirement years, if there's ever a possibility, that could be cool to happen. But I very highly doubt that that's going to be the case. Captain K-Man's in the chat over there. Captain Dean Heiss is there. Phone Nemo is in the chat as well. All right, jump over to my YouTube peeps. We got Mr. Peabody, who is a member over there as well. CWD Trixie, Hyper and X13 is there. Tina B is in the chat. Gloin the Hobbit is there. Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father. Josue Veguilla, not the first person today, good sir. Jock Cockastone is in the chat. In Disguise. Bruce is in the chat as well. Out of Step with Reality. What is going on? Out of Step. JRoar123 is in here. Stream Elements is here. GMonkey76. TFM Knight is in the chat as well. Wasted Anguish. What's going on? Glowing the Hobbit with a comment says, the beer bug nihilists are retreating thanks to stay-at-home gang. I'm hoping that things start to calm down a bit. I really am. Stephanie B is here. What's going on, Stephanie B? Glad to see you here. In Disguise is here. Also, Orange Chat Reviews says, how are you? I'm doing just fine, Orange Chat, as the chat jumps on me rather quickly as it normally does. So let's see where we are with that. He says, how are you, Odin? The days are blurring together. What year is it? What time? Is Stallone still president? I feel that, man. I definitely feel that. The days definitely are blending together. The only thing keeping me on track is the fact that I have classes to teach every day. I have a rotation. I literally have a calendar in front of me. So that's like the only thing keeping me, I guess, on that timeline. But it's weird not getting to go out to go to a movie or go to mass. You know, things that I like to do on a regular basis. So it's been weird, but I have been watching a crap ton of movies. If you've been following me on this channel, my main videos have actually been covering movie reviews. And as expected, they haven't done nearly as well as the other videos. But the reason why I'm doing them is because, one, I want to do more movie reviews for the main channel anyway. And two, the other ones aren't doing well either. So... screw YouTube at the end of the day. But I have a review on the channel for a film called Shadow from 2018. Really cool martial arts style film. And then, of course, the day before I did a review of Bloodfather from 2016, starring Mel Gibson. And that movie was a ton of fun as well. All right, jumping back in. Bruce says, I was able to buy toilet paper and paper towels today. Hoorah! Yeah, Bruce, I haven't gone to the market since Sunday. On Sunday, it had been 3 straight weeks with no toilet paper whatsoever and no eggs either, which was really sad, especially the eggs part, because I like me some eggs. What is kind of frustrating, though, is as I was checking out, they always ask the question at Publix, did you find everything that you're looking for today? I'm like, no, I didn't. Oh, what were you looking for? Eggs. We're out of eggs? Yeah, you're completely out of eggs. And then I mentioned toilet paper. Oh, well, we had a truck in this morning. Got to get here early. And I just stared at him. I'm like, I've been here the last 3 weeks and you don't have a single roll of toilet paper. And you're telling me, oh, you got to get here early. I've been here early before. And even then, your truck hadn't come in yet and you were still out. So y'all need to start taking care of that a little bit more. Buy more. Is what I say to that, Bruce. But I'm glad that you got some. Donald Hudson, what's going on? Glad to see you in here once again. Frank and the Clan say, now all humans know how we feel when you leave us home all the time. Well, not necessarily, because the dogs have been very happy. My dogs have loved us being home. And it's not because we get to play with them, it's because they get to sleep. It's fun seeing what a dog's day is really all about, where they're curled up right next to you or they're curled up behind you if I'm on the computer. It's great. It's great. All right, JRoar123, what's going on, good sir? Soul Assassin, not sure if I shouted you out yet. Glowing the Hobbit says, John Campia wants Amazon to buy AMC theaters. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. Yeah, you see, I can understand the good part of that because AMC theaters would continue. However, that would mean Amazon is even bigger than it already is. So the problem with Disney buying out a theater chain, or Amazon buying out a theater chain, or Apple buying out a theater chain, or Netflix buying out a theater chain is that you have giant companies that are getting bigger. And that's not really something I want to happen necessarily. So even though it could be a positive thing because it could lead to the movie theater staying open, maybe more competitive pricing, maybe cheaper stuff all around, maybe having your Amazon Prime membership get you some free movies, like that could be kind of cool. As I said before, I think what you're seeing now is the beginning of the end of the physical theater and a transition into the digital age. As I mentioned before, if you weren't already going to have studios as they are releasing their own content directly onto video on demand, soon it's going to be directly onto their own service. Onward from Disney went to their service not long after it went video on demand. And do not be surprised if you see not just studios doing that, but even theater chains, AMC. What if they decide, all right, we're staying open as a company, we're closing half our theaters, and we're going to start to implement online showings? That is something that you could potentially see in the future, though, of course, I'm sure the headache of dealing with that, having enough bandwidth and fixing crashes and stuff is going to be just so much fun. It's just going to be so much fun indeed. HyperNex13 says, that's sad about AMC shutting down. Well, again, we don't have confirmation on that quite yet. It's just looking very likely at this point. I hope other theaters survive. Is there a chance that dollar theaters are doing worse as well? I don't really have any dollar theaters near me, so I can't say, but seeing that all theaters essentially are shut down except for drive-ins, I think most drive-ins are exempt from everything since you're inside the car as you're watching the movie. I don't know how those are doing, but it is very sad, and I do hope that theaters actually survive because, as I said, I like going to the physical theater. Tina says, Yahoo News still exists? Oh, and you are very welcome. I was watching his show and heard him announce that. Well, thank you, Tina. I appreciate it. Yeah, Yahoo News, man. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk? Let us see here. Tina says, I can't wait for Disney to go default eminent with little prospect for recovery. Well, I can dream. Wouldn't that be amazing, right? if Disney fell into that, wouldn't that be amazing? Let's see. Goku MGTOW Monk. What's going on, good sir? Christina Nardon. What's going on, Christina? Laura Story. Member Laura Story. How's it going, Laura? TFM Knight. How is it going? Robert Frey's in the chat too. Darth Scipio, what's going on? Glowing the Hobbit says, your thoughts on One World Together at Home festival to raise money for the frontline healthcare workers in World Health Organization. So for one, I'm okay with us raising money for frontline healthcare workers. Anyone that's on the front line, anyone that's dealing with this stuff straight on, if there's a fundraiser that's going to help them, sure. We should not be giving a damn dime to the World Health Organization. I'm sorry. They're the idiots. They're the asshats that allowed this thing to spread because they bought the Chinese lie that was out back in December. Oh, remember, because people forgot about that, right? That China told the World Health Organization, oh, there's no proof that this spreads person to person. And what did the World Health Organization do? No, they didn't send people in to study. No, they didn't ask questions. They just said, oh, yes, China, okay, keep giving us your money because you're buying us out in some way, right? Don't give a dime to the World Health Organization. Screw them. And I hope that when all of this is over, that, if Trump's still president, whoever's still president, that we go after their asses because they hold responsibility. Chinese government holds responsibility for this. World Health Organization holds responsibility for this, for not cracking down, for not asking questions, for not digging deeper into this. Let's go after the people that allowed this thing to spread as much as it did. And that's why I'm so sick and tired of modern American politics, because it's like, oh, well, Trump and this and Trump and that. And it's like, I'm sorry, dude, but there's bigger fish to fry than the president of the United States. The president is not the one who allowed all this stuff to happen. All right. Is he perfect? No. Has he made mistakes? Absolutely. But I'm sorry, if you're going to tell me that he's somehow more culpable than the World Health Organization or the Chinese Communist government, I'm sorry. You're full of crap. That's what I have to say about that. So, raising money for that, raising money for the people that are actually doctors, nurses, etc. on the front line, I'm all down for that. But the whole One World Together thing with a bunch of celebrities coming together, screw that, man. Screw them. They're so full of themselves, and they're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart. They're doing it for attention. They're doing it for fame and glory, and it pisses me off. All right. Whew. Got hot for a second, but that's okay. Laura Story says, time to buy some land and open a drive-in theater. Hey, you know what? That might be the cheapest way to do it, Laura. That might be the cheapest way to do it. Tina says, I'm not a big fan of Cinemark. They're okay, but they're even laying off employees here. Just saw that in our local news. Yeah, I mean, AMC's in trouble when they're furloughing employees, including their own CEO. When the CEO of a company is getting furloughed, you know that they're not in a good position. Like, this... I'm just saying, man, like that is not a good sign. That's not a good sign, man. Things are not looking good. Out of step with reality, playing with all of the images that I have posted there. Hope you enjoy them. I wish that the GIFs actually moved, but YouTube sucks. So what can I say? Laura Story says, the last time I went to the theater was to see 1917. Amazing film, but guy was coughing heavily through much of the film. Yeah, I hate that. And again, it's stuff like that is leading a lot of people to say, you know what, I don't mind staying at home to watch movies. And I get that, right? I like watching movies at home too, but there are definitely movies I would much rather go see in a theater, for sure. And speaking of great movies, 1917 was fantastic. Member Alex McCarthy says, howdy, Odin, how's it going? Watching Onward, I don't have any more no points with the misses. Well, hey, at least that's included on Disney Plus, so I can't really shout you out too much for that. I saw it too. My review of Onward is coming out on Friday. If you were in the stream the other day, you've already heard it, but the full review is going to be out on Friday on the secondary channel, Welcome to Asgard. Glowing the Hobbit says, your thoughts on UFC securing a private island to host their fights without audiences? I don't care about the UFC, so all I can say is I don't care. It means very, very little to me. All right, jumping over into D-Live land, Adam says, Odin has a movie blog. Now we have no movies. I know, seriously, the day I start to review movies is when we don't have any major movies coming out. Captain Dean High says, glad to see you're using your movie blog as a movie blog. I know, isn't that nice? Phonemo says, is it just like Black Friday? It is just like Black Friday sales. You need to line up 6 hours beforehand. What was... Oh, talking about for getting toilet paper. But that's so ridiculous. We're not going to run out of toilet paper unless you're buying out all the toilet paper at an individual store. Adam says, yes, sadly, I had planned to go see movies this year, and oh my, now we have no movies. Yep. That is the sad part. Aaron, thank you for following me over on D-Live. I appreciate it. Captain Dean Heist, thank you for the 3 ice creams. I appreciate that. Thank you. My D-Live fam, you rock. I love you guys. All right, jumping back over into the YouTube side of things. Nano Reaper, what's going on, member Nano Reaper? Says, Hail Odin from the Black Sea. Ooh, I like that. Hail Odin from the Black Sea, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, chat jumped on me. What else is new? But no comments were skipped, which is a good thing. Let's see how much Gary's still streaming and other things is affecting us. We've got 51 people. That sounds about right. When Gary's streaming, everyone's over there. His streams get insanely large. I don't know how he handles it. HyperX13, the last best memory I had at a theater was watching the re-released Lord of the Rings trilogy. That is one thing that sparks a different experience as to watching them at home. Yeah, one of the last long-term theater-going experiences I had was I brought my wife to go see the Back to the Future trilogy on Back to the Future Day. That was one of the coolest things ever, to actually be in the theater celebrating that day on the day it was predicted in the movie originally. She had never seen them before. She sat through it all together. It's when I knew I loved her. I knew it before then too, but still, the fact that she sat through that with me was great. So, that's the memory that I have. But the Lord of the Rings, man, yeah, the best way to experience that is on a big screen. And that's why it might be time to start investing into building home theaters to get that same kind of sound and big enough image quality as possible. Captain Wingster says, hi, Odin. What's going on, Captain Wingster? Tina, thank you for letting me know how to contact me again. If you are on YouTube and you want to have me read your comments or read a question, type in Odin question, all one word, Odin question. It'll highlight your message orange on my screen, and I'll know you're trying to get my attention. If you don't feel like doing that, become a member. You can start off by being at the lowest tier, which I think is $1 a month, 99 cents a month, and then I'll read your comment unless you're tagging someone else. Let's see here. Laura Story says, the wife found out which brand of churros Disneyland uses and bought a bunch for us to bake at home. I miss Disneyland. Well, hey, at least you got the churros. At least you got the churros. So my brother actually, his wife went to the supermarket and they've just gotten Mickey Premium bars. And so she bought some Mickey Premium bars for him. And so he was very happy with that because he's also a big fan of Disney, especially those Mickey Premium bars. Let's see. Angel Arch, what's going on? RC from NYC. That's some new names that I see in the chat. James Villaneva, what's going on? How's it going? Let's see. Tina says, sorry, the algorithm sucks for you, but on the high side, the Kibblesmith Marvel video hit 200,000 downvotes, so I'm happy. Gosh, it just looks like so much trash. I actually ended up going on a binge the other day of watching a bunch of Gary videos over on Nerdrotic, and I got to a lot of the Kibblesmith videos, and dear Lord, his characters sound like complete garbage and trash. Laura says, someone send Odin some chicken stat. Oh, believe me, Laura, the wife and I have talked about getting chickens. So once we're in the new house by the end of the month, hopefully, if everything closes on time, and all the dust settles from all the stuff that, all the little purchases you got to make here and there on that, chickens are definitely on the horizon, or at least on the bucket list of things, because, yeah, having a fun supply or having a ready supply of eggs is definitely important, Laura. Nana Reaper says, EGG are the used production of vaccines. Eggs are used in the production of vaccines. Hypernex13, great reviews, Odin. I've been marathoning Akira Kurosawa flicks, been having a great time. Also, I'm loving Breaking Bad. Only weak episode so far was the Fly one. Otherwise, awesome. Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that you might have a weaker episode, but there's no bad episodes, and that's what I love about it. Right? That's what I love about it, is that you can have a show where there's not really ever a wasted episode, maybe a wasted moment, but not a wasted episode. And it's fantastic. So I'm glad that you're enjoying that. I need to watch some more Akira Kurosawa films, because the only one that I have seen is, actually I have it next to me too, because I have one of my boxes out, is this bad boy right here, Seven Samurai Criterion Collection. Probably one of the best things in my collection, because one, it's a fantastic film. 2, it's Criterion. And 3, I mean, because it's Criterion, the Blu-ray transfer is fantastic. So, but yeah, looking through the box, I realized that I have a couple of films where I actually have a double copy of. So once I'm done getting through all these and having them set up in the new place, I'll probably have some Blu-rays to give away at some point. So I'm pretty excited for that. All right, let's see here. 70B says, those people are lying. Bust into the back and grab that toilet paper. No, I actually really do believe. They don't have any at all. Captain Wingster, Odin, you gotta be on the ball to get that toilet paper. Well, something tells me that if I drove around to like the CVS or Walgreens or some of those places, that I'd be able to find it, but Soul Assassin, I think people got the virus mixed up with traveler's sickness to want to all the toilet paper. Yeah, I still don't quite understand it. Like, I know that some people were hoarding things just in general so that they could then sell them at crazy prices like they did with hand sanitizer. But at least hand sanitizer makes sense. Toilet paper, it's like, dear Lord, all I need is just all I need is a standard pack. Give me a 4-pack and I'm good, man. By the way, we're down to our last 1.5 rolls. So we're still surviving, but we're down to 1.5 rolls. Bruce says, yes, I did it at 7 a.m. I'm sure they sold out by 10 a.m. Yeah, I looked the other day, and the Publix, it looks like their senior shopping is from 8 to 9 a.m. or from 7 to 8 a.m., which is what I thought. So even if I do get there early, even if I do get it there early, somebody tells me that it's still won't be good enough. By the way, 6 minutes ago, sorry it took me so long. TFM Night. Thank you very much, man, for the $2 super chat. Says, bummed about no Easter Mass. Yeah, TFM Night. Me too, man. And for a fun little history fact, and please feel free to fact check me on this because, I honestly can't know because it's been so long. But from what I know and from what I've read and from what I've seen on recent videos covering this stuff, this is going to be the first time since the 4th century, the 300s, since Emperor Constantine, through the Edict of Milan, made Christianity legal, that there has not been a public celebration of Mass on Easter. The first time since Christians were persecuted en masse, the first time since the 4th century that a public celebration of the Mass on Easter has not been celebrated. That's insane. And then when you think about all different parts of the world, you could probably argue that for almost any local church, right? I imagine that the churches that are around you have never had this happen before, where they've not been allowed to celebrate Mass just in general, let alone on Easter, unless, of course, there was a fire or some extenuating circumstance. But it's just insane to me. It's insane to think about, and I think that it's the wrong move. You can criticize me for that, but I think it's the wrong move. Now is the time more than ever that we need our places of worship. Let them be responsible. If they're not being responsible, if they're not following basic, distancing guidelines, etc., okay. But shutting down masses altogether, I think, is a really bad move. Now is a time more than ever where we need as much spiritual help as we can possibly get. Seriously. All right, let's see here. But thank you very much, TFM Night. I'm right there with you, man. It sucks. Tina says, that money is not going to the frontline healthcare workers. Sorry, I'm a cynic. HWO is corrupt. Yeah, World Health Organization. If it's going to them and they're saying that they're giving it to someone else, screw that. Do not give them a damn money. Don't give them a damn dime. In fact, you know what? That's the reason why I'm not giving a dime to my diocese, because I don't trust where the money's going to go to. That's why I would say don't give money to major Catholic group organizations, things like Peter's Pence, because it was exposed that money from Peter's Pence, which is meant to go to the poor, actually some of that money funded the frickin' Elton John movie that came out not too long ago. That's right. Catholic money, donated money, went to support that movie. It was meant to go to the poor. And there's been many other organizations that have gone to support organizations that are going against church teaching and things that have nothing to do with church teaching too. So, yeah, I mean, we're seeing it in the church. We're seeing it in our world. But these major corporations, these major groups, man, it's sad. And it's disgusting too. Really, really is. Dion, what's going on, man? Says, hail to you and howdy all, lurking while dinner. Cheers, Dion. Keep flying. Keep flying. Dion, appreciate you, man. Hardwick says, did you watch the Pirates of the Caribbean short film Wedlock that I sent you? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Yeah, I did. I mean, it's interesting from the fact that it helps you understand why two characters don't like him. I just think that and also why one of the characters is missing a tongue. But overall, the production design and the production quality on it are just not as up to what the film was. And I was thinking that because it was an official version, or rather that it was an official short, that it would have a higher production value. But I was sad that it did. So it was fine, but I wasn't blown away by it. Mark Oquist, my theater will last longer in our rural area. We still had a movie rental place until 2018. I hope so, man. I hope so. Nano Reaper says, the HWO is nothing but a bunch of soulless bureaucrats. Damn right. Captain Wingster, Preacher Odin laying down the sermons against the Chinese government. Good on you, sir. Thank you, Captain Wingster. I appreciate it, man. Just trying to tell the truth. That's it, man. Just trying to be as honest as I possibly can. All right. So let's see here. Nana Reaper says, time for drive-in churches as well. That's a sad thing too, right? That's a sad thing. And that's some things, for Catholic churches, it's harder to get that going. I think for some Protestant denominations, that actually could potentially work. But for Catholics, there's just something that's, there's a level of reverence that you're supposed to. Well, I say that, but there actually are probably some Catholic churches where that might actually work. But I still question whether they're really Catholic in nature. But in traditional Catholic churches, it just wouldn't fly. Sunny says, "Oh hi, I hears you have a right purty moving. I hears you have a right purty moving pictures blog. Nice. Well, thank you. I appreciate that." Slicer Neons, pray for the world. Gotham High just released. Pray for the world. Gotham High just released digitally. Richard Grayson is now a damsel in distress, black wuss, being picked on by rich white boys. That's just page 110 of 115. Well, Slicer, I hope that you sailed the high seas for that and didn't pay good money for it, because damn, that sounds like a waste. Captain Wingster, it might just be me, but I've never had a bad movie-going experience. I have, mostly because of people being jerks, and then there's been the occasion where, this was back during when they had film reels, there were a couple occasions where the film stopped because the projector overheated and such. So I have had those experiences before in my life. Greta Zenner, what's going on, Greta? Guys, please subscribe to Greta's channel. She's been doing some really great work talking about movie history. Her last video was on Quentin Tarantino, and I loved it. Please keep making those videos, Greta. I appreciate it. And she says, "Hey, Odin, hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well as well, Greta." Greta is in the heart of it down in Louisiana, so I hope that you and your family are safe and are getting through this, because I hear the numbers climbing every day. Member Nano Reaper says, "Get a stick and a piece of sponge and go medieval for toilet paper. You wash the sponge when you flush." No, Nano Reaper, I don't think so. We're lucky because we own a day bidet. We own a day bidet, like the song, and that helps out a great deal. But it's not everything. You're welcome for that information. Captain Wingster, what is your best theater experience? Mine has to be going to the premiere of Return of the King back in 2003. Ones that pop into my mind are normally theater experiences with friends. So going to see The Dark Knight for the first time with all of my friends in high school, that was great. That was a lot of fun. 70B, thanks for letting us know how to contact me. Again, if you have a comment or question, just type Odin question. All one word, Odin question, ODIN, QUESTION. All one word, don't space it. As long as those letters are in that order, you can even put it in the middle of a sentence. You can even put it in the middle of a word if you really want to, but that'll just drive me crazy. It'll pop up and highlight orange, and it'll let me know you're trying to contact me. Pin drop, what's going on, man? And of course, if you are a member on the channel, even at the $1 tier, and you have a comment, just leave a comment. And as long as you're not tagging anyone else in the comment, I will read it. 70B says, "This emoji looks like you, Chief." That does. It's got a little too much hair on the top, though, if you know what I mean. HyperNex13. Side 7 Samurai, I highly recommend Rashomon, Kajmusha, and Ron. Ron is a bit slow at times, but epic nonetheless. Freaking consistent director like Martin Scorsese. Nice. Yeah. Very, very cool. I've never seen any, again, the only Kurosawa film I've ever seen is Seven Samurai. A lot of other films have been recommended, but those films tend to go for a little bit of a higher price. TFM Knight, thank you, man, for the $4 super chat. Says AMC memory, first row Iron Man premiere 2008. That actually sounds miserable. Because that to me means it was a completely crowded theater. You're in the front seat and you're like, yay, Iron Man. I'm so happy. That's what comes into my head. I don't know about anyone else in the chat, but just like you, I've had those experiences before where I've had to go to the front row, and it's on certain theaters it's bearable, but on others you're just like, oh my goodness. I can see why they usually sell these seats out and only use them in the cases of emergencies. And also while probably half the people end up getting refunds for that. I cannot tell you how many people went to go see a movie knowing it was sold out, had to be in the front row, and then 10 minutes in, they were like, can't do it. But you know what? I could respect that decision. I could respect that decision. But thank you, TFM Night. I appreciate you. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, you're so cute. Troll over on D-Live. Oh, bye-bye. That's so much fun. So much fun when they think they're smart and they're funny, and it's like, yeah, bye-bye. All right, jumping over to D-Live for a second to catch up with my peeps over there. Adam says, at Odin, to contact Odin here on D-Live. That is true. If you have a comment over on D-Live, just put at Odin at the beginning of your comment, and I'll know you're trying to get my attention over there. Phonemo says, go help an old person and throw in a pack of toilet paper as payment for your help. Ooh, that's a good idea. That's actually a pretty good idea. Captain K-Man, I guess if we get a toilet paper in our next freight shipment, I have to put one off to the side to send out. I have to steal from our shipments so that way I can send it to somebody. Just let them know, I'll pay for it. If you give me an official means of payment to that company, I'll pay for it. Captain Dean High says, there you go, talking about Constantine, that guy on Legends of Tomorrow again. Not that Constantine, the Emperor Constantine, not the comic character. Though Constantine, the comic character, is pretty badass. So let's see. Using some GIFs over there. Always love to see that. Adam and the clan say, time for Odin's Sunday service. No. I am not a minister. Captain Peabody says, social distancing is not enough. Think about everything you touch and wash your hands. Very good point, too. And that's why I said, I think there's certain churches that could handle that by washing the pews, washing the handle rails, things like that. And we could probably get by with it too. I think that we would be okay. The biggest problem that I have, though, is think about that fact. Since the 4th century, the 300s, think about all of the plagues, all of the illnesses and diseases that we've had since the 4th century. And at no point have we seen this level of the canceling of public masses. I'm just saying, we're living in very different times, and I would say that we're living in darker and sadder times, even though we have so much technology at our disposal and so many good things that should be able to help with all of this. All right, back over to my YouTube peeps. Let's see. Nano Reaper says, no, they don't. No, they don't. There's not much of backroom in most stores because most stores work on just-in-time model, especially now. A lot of the stores don't have a back room. Like what's in front of you is pretty much what they have for the most part. Soul Assassin says, quick shirt idea for your store. I survived the great toilet paper shortage of 2020. That'd be great. If I could design, I would love to have more shirts and designs available, but I cannot design. So I've asked my wife to try and work on some, but she's, got a lot of stuff to work on too. And I don't want to overburden her with anything either. So trust me, if I had the gift of design, there are so many designs I would already have, right? What's his name? Bob the midichlorian and his wife. Oh, who was his wife? Was it Martha or was it Nancy? No, it was Bob and Nancy. Bob the midichlorian. That's a reference back to the early days of the channel. But there were so many things I would love to have. The Suri. I would love to have Suri. I'd love to have my dogs on a shirt too. I just don't have that capacity. Tina says, remember, if you want Odin to see the comments on YouTube, type Odin question. That's it. All you gotta do is put Odin question. No ad symbol either. Member, Father Christopher Millet says, remember they canceled masses during the 1918 Spanish flu. Did they really, though? All public masses, including through Easter? There was no public Easter celebration of the liturgy. I guarantee you, if we were to go back and look at the history books, that at the very least in Rome, they had a public celebration of the Mass. I'm just saying. Hardwick says, over here, toilet paper is usually available at either Dollar General or Walmart. Rubbing alcohol and disinfectant wipes are impossible to find anywhere, though. That makes sense to me. And yeah, some people have said go to Dollar General or Walmart. The only thing is I do like to have a certain quality of toilet paper. At this point in this time, I mean, beggars can't be choosers. Because realistically, because of the day bidet, we don't really need much of anything else. But I see what you mean, Hardwick. Might have to end up going to see those places out. Glowing the Hobbit says, check out Akira Kurosawa Akiru because the film makes you review your life choices. It is like watching It's a Wonderful Life and Groundhog's Day. Interesting. Well, once I have money to be able to get that kind of stuff again, I would love to do so. We have to kind of hunker down since we're in the process of closing on a house. So I can only make minor purchases here and there. And of course, I've got the PayPal fund, but that is specifically for the channel and for giveaways and such. So I don't want to empty that out, especially since people are having to cancel the memberships for obvious reasons because there's obviously global pandemic going on. People need as much money as they can, and I totally understand that and respect it. So let us see. Laura says, driving, so talk to you later. No problem, Laura. Hopefully you enjoyed the show or you're listening while you're driving, even though you can't actively chat. Ben V, what are some things you think theaters will do to get people to come back to movies once it's safe? Promotions, deals, etc. Love your channel. Ben V, thank you so much for the love. Love you too, man. And yeah, all of those things. I could see them doing a come see a movie for the day, like come have a day at the movie or a night at the movie for $5, $10, right? Obviously, they'll have to price it so that they can make something off of it, right? So, but imagine, if you will, you pay $10 at the door, you get one movie ticket, one small popcorn, one small drink, and it's all for a $10 to $15 package. Like, that's actually pretty reasonable for today's standards, but I imagine that they'll have a lot of promos like that. I imagine that they'll have a lot of extended matinee pricing. So instead of it just being before noon, maybe extending that discount pricing a little bit more. And really the big question is going to be is, what are the studios going to do? Are the studios going to try and help out? Because they're losing money too. Are they going to work out deals with the movie theaters themselves to say, okay, we can charge less on opening weekends for movies, or we'll take less of a cut from our opening weekends? I doubt they will. But the way for them to make the most money, though, realistically, is to show older movies. Because if you show older movies, the theaters get a bigger cut of that ticket bought. The only time that a movie studio has the upper hand in negotiating with theaters is on a brand new release. That's why usually a studio gets 90% of the tickets on the first 2 weeks. So let's say you spend $10 on a movie ticket on opening weekend, $9 of that goes to the studio, only $1 goes to the theater. And that's why popcorn and soft drinks cost so much. But in order to entice people to come back, you might need to start offering discounts on things like popcorn and soft drinks. Because here's the thing, right? It's crazy to think AMC being $5 billion in debt before all of this. But when you think about how much a bag of popcorn actually costs at the individual level, the uppricing on that is insane. Like probably in the hundreds, if not thousands times more than what it actually costs to make. So the profit margins on that stuff is just gigantic. So, I mean, they have to do it that way, though, because as I said, they're not getting anything off tickets, and it costs a lot of money to run a theater. Imagine when you have 10 screens, all running films pretty much all day, the amount of electricity you have to pay for the storage, the upkeep of the storage, you have all the employees you got to pay for, the overhead costs, all that stuff adds up to a lot of money. So, yeah, they have to do that, though. They have to offer something. And something tells me for anyone that has the AMC A-list, I think that's going bye-bye once this is all over. I think they're going to cancel AMC A-list, or they're going to severely limit A-list because I don't think they can afford it anymore, to be honest. I don't think they can afford it anymore. All right, chat jumped on me like it normally does. But let us see here. Where were we in the chats? All right. Luckily, no comments have been skipped. Nitrium's in the chat. What's going on, Nitrium? Glad to see you here. Let me jump over to D-Live, though, for a second. Let us see here. Oh my gosh, so much back and forth. I'm assuming none of it because no one's tagging me. So Captain Peabody says, Adam has TP for you. We all know Dan isn't buying any. And then you said that's an inside joke. Okay, that's fine. Phonemo says, how has this whole thing affected your moving into your house? I know it has pushed back my move until God knows when. So we'll basically keep this in mind that we originally had another house. And it was cool because it was a newer build. We had a lot of input into what kind of stuff was going to go in there. An entire room was being made essentially for me. So I was so excited because it's like, yes, I get my own little private room. It's going to be great. It's going to be big enough so that I can have my studio in there, but also eventually at one point get like a home theater thing going on. It's going to be awesome. And then the guy didn't, pay people. It was this whole drama. And eventually we were like, okay, we need to get out of this. We need to find something else. And we did. We found something new that had just got on the market, and we moved on that pretty quickly. And so that is still, everything is going right now according to plan. We've gotten the inspection, things like that going, loan stuff going, and so that should be done by end of April. So I'll keep you posted if that gets delayed at all. But basically, the only impact that it might have would be on getting movers to help us with that, to help us move stuff over there. But at the end of the day, if worst case scenario happens and we're only able to get a small amount, we'll make it work to the best of our ability. But yeah, so far that's been, I think, the biggest challenge is the fact that we had to cancel our last one and get a new one. But luckily the new one actually could actually even be better. That's a good question. Captain Peabody, thank you for letting me know that was an inside joke. Captain K-Man, thank you for the 2 ice cream donations. I appreciate it very, very much. And Captain Peabody says, maybe property in Tunisia is available. The Skywalker Farm. Or Tunisia. Tunisia? Something tells me the spelling on that might not be right. Or I'm not pronouncing it correctly. Is it Tunisia? Tina says, my worst movie experience was back in the early 80s. Re-release of 10 Commandments. The audience was out of frackin' control. You couldn't even hear. It was so loud. How do you go out of control during a 1980s release of the 10 Commandments? It doesn't seem like the kind of movie that people would just go to talk during. It just doesn't make sense. I'm sorry to hear that, though. Slash Neon says, Comics Matter is roasting GH to the high heaven. His vids are like an exorcism of SJW comics. Huh? What? None of those things made sense to me. Father says, just tweeted you a note that Archbishop Doherty issued in October 1918 canceling all masses, and a Los Angeles article stating the bishop was canceling masses in LA Monterey. Okay, so you've mentioned 2 different places, but is that nationally and is that in Rome? Again, I'm not saying that masses have never been canceled before. I'm saying to this degree, and specifically in the city of Rome, that not a single public mass was used to celebrate Easter. That's what I'm trying to point out, Father. I'm too salty on this subject, Father. I'm never gonna let it go. Oh man. Tina says John Burkett was asking about Flickinger. Okay, well, just tag me the right way, dude, and I'll read it. Otherwise, I'm not going to see it. Going to Hobbit says, I would like to recommend Some Like It Hot starring Marilyn Monroe. It's so funny. I have seen that. I freaking love it, man. Having the 2 guys dress up as women. You couldn't make that movie today, though. You couldn't make it today, but that's why it is so fantastic. Harwick says, the director of Wedlocked said he had to work with borrowed sets. It was a low-budget passion project that homaged the ride, especially the wench auction, as much as the movies. Yeah, and again, it wasn't. I think it should have been better than what it actually ended up being. Father says, join me for my service. I have actually, so I do Latin Mass every morning, Father. So I've kind of left the Norvis Ordo behind me. I get way too much more out of the extraordinary form of the Mass that I don't want to do ordinary form anymore. So I found my old parish is still. Here's the thing. My old parish, and I'm not going to go into too much more detail than that, is freaking heroic because they're still offering masses. They're not shutting the doors to the people, and people are still receiving communion. So even though the bishop has said no public masses, even though the authorities have said, to limit the peoples, they are still doing everything they can to have social distancing and also to say, we're not telling people when our private masses are officially, but they're still going on. They're being live streamed. They're scheduled. And so therefore people can figure that out for themselves. And if they show up, they show up. And if they show up, he is not going to deny them communion. And that is freaking heroic. We need more priests like that, Father. We need more of that, right? We should not be shutting off the sieve of, or the spigot of the graces of the sacraments right now. We should not be shutting it down. And once all of this is over, history will remember the bishops especially that cowered in fear, that ran away from this time. We should be having more of the sacraments now, not less. This is a very touchy subject for me. I'm very passionate about it because it really ticks me off. Especially with everything going on in the church right now, this makes it even worse. But luckily, I have, since going through live streams, though, 1 Peter 5 put out a really great guide to praying the traditional Mass at home, and it just gives a guide to reading the propers for the Mass, the different prayers that you actually pray, and it's been very spiritually beneficial for me. So, because I'm using a 1945 missal, the Father Lassance missal, which is just brilliant, and it reminds me of how much Vatican II destroyed the liturgy in so many different ways. Ooh, sorry. Get that. If there's anything that grinds my gears, it's the current state of the church. Gannison, Alita Troll, what's going on, man? I'm doing just fine. I hope you're doing fine, too. Tina says, second worst movie-going experience. My grandfather wouldn't pay extra for reserved seats, and we ended up in the front row for the Bible in the beginning, up close for the Sodom scenes. No! Oh, that sounds terrible. Father says, 1918 just sent you 5 articles. Okay, again, Father, you can send me as many articles as you want, but unless you have something saying every single church in every diocese in the United States and that every single church in Rome shut down even for Easter Mass, I don't care what the article says. I'm just going to be honest. Dion, just have services outside if weather is good. Sunday for me back in the day would have services outside at sunrise on Easter Sunday. It becomes a little problematic in the Catholic Church because there is this mindset of us having to be inside in a sacred space. The only time that you could ever really make that work would be at a holy site. So, for example, if you're at the grotto at Lourdes, but even then there's an overhead for it, to my knowledge. So that's how you were able to get away from that. Tina says, why did you say that name, Martha? Sorry, couldn't resist. And yes, I remember Bob the Midichlorian. Oh, you better remember Bob the Midichlorian. Oh, don't remind me of that terrible movie. Father, yeah, I know, Spanish Flu of 1918. But Gannis and Leah Troll, I recently watched A Rebel Without a Cause. Very good movie. I've never seen that one. Tina says, Dollar General carries normal brands like Northern and Charmin. If you can find them, that's my PSA for the day. All right, so Dollar General. Yeah, Dollar General. Dollar Tree is where you'll find the more shoddy branding. Captain Peabody over on DLive says, you were right, my spelling was wrong. Tunisia? I'm sorry, because I'm thinking of something very different. I have no idea what's going on. Phonemo, I see. Mine is delayed due to it needing to be finished being built. What's being built? Captain Peabody says, Odin, maybe property. Wait, what's being delayed, Phonemo? I need context, Phonemo. What's going on? I'm so confused. All right. Oh, your house. I got it now, your house. Now I remember. It needs to be finished. Yeah, I can only imagine because builders right now and all that kind of stuff dealing with a lot of delays, I'm sure. We got 70 people in here. Please smash the like button. I appreciate it. All right, Hardwick says, back in the 1930s, theaters used to give away a piece of china with the movies. If you went often enough, you could get a whole set. They also had air conditioning before most homes did. Yeah, I mean, that was the main draw to movie theaters, was not just the movies, but, come and get some AC. Yeah, I miss the old school theaters. All right, let's see. Sasha Neon says, every SJW with TDS after seeing the MSM post-ard reaction about their lies, Martian McGunter voice, there was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom. Yeah, a lot of that was messed up, so a lot of that just went over my head. Nana Reaper, I promise my container ship is not hoarding the TP, but we need some old movies and maybe some packages like an old movie, a bucket of popcorn, and 2 sodas for $15 and 2 tickets. Yeah, exactly. Nana Reaper, exactly. We need stuff like that. And to be honest, they could make some money by saying, hey, we're going to have all of these old school movies out at various times of the day, and they're going to be $2. They could do that. They could actually get away with that because of how cheap it is to rent older school films that are not new releases. So yeah, that might be the way forward, at least for the very beginning. Hardwick says, movie studios used to own their own theater chains and take 100% of the profits. Antitrust laws ended that, which is why theaters have to overcharge for concessions to stay afloat. Yeah, because as I said, now they have to split with those studios that used to own them. And what's interesting, though, is you look to that and you say, wait, a movie studio can't own their own theater chain. But then you look to companies like Disney and all the crap that they own, and you're like, wait a minute, how has there not been an antitrust lawsuit going on? Gannis and Alita Troll, AMC is getting closed. Very sad, it seems. Captain Marvel 2 is coming. Yeah, but it's not coming until July of 2022, which means a lot can happen until then. And also, it's by itself. It's not right next to Endgame. It's not right next to a big Avengers film. So unless they make Captain Marvel 2 into like what Captain America Civil War was, where there's a lot of big actors coming in, I don't think the film's going to do well, but we'll see. AMC is not closing yet. But based on the article I read at the very beginning of the video, so if you want to go back and watch that, you can. Basically, AMC Theaters is not looking good because the S&P just did a credit downgrade saying that it's basically it's going to flop soon. Like almost that the flopping of the entire company is imminent at this point, and is hard to see anything else happening from that. Glowing the Hobbit says, Zoom hackers are stealing meeting IDs and passwords to terrorize classrooms. Any horror stories at your school? Not my school as of yet, because we knew about that before we started doing any live classes. So we were able to take some certain precautions with it. I'm not doing the live classes because I already do like 2 or 3 videos a week anyway. And luckily at this point, we're given the option to do a live class once a week. Or if we're doing a lot of videos, then that's okay, and be open to doing a live class. But for me, because of the Zoom hacking going on, I don't even want to play around with it, to be honest. I don't even want to play with it. HyperNext13, if you become a movie manager, can I be your partner, Hypern Pinkman, to do allegedly pirating service and call you Mr. Heisenberg, Breaking Bad at Asgard? Awful joke, just kidding. No, I love the joke. That's fantastic. And yeah, let's not do that. Gannison, I hope Alita is protecting you from these hard times. Damn right, dude. Gannison, Alita Troll. Alita, thank you again for sending me. Let's see here. Glowing the Hobbit says, your thoughts on Ezra Miller appears to choke woman in viral video. I haven't made a video on that officially for a couple of reasons. One, it's so hard to see the context because she's laughing and smiling the entire video. Even when his hand's around her throat, even after he's put her up against it, she's still smiling and laughing. So to me, what I see are 2 drunk people or 2 people that are under the influence of something being idiots. And so I'm not really in the position to say, cancel, right? Because it just looks to me like we need more context to know what actually happened, whether they know each other, whether it was just a gag. I know that there's been posts from the person that posted the video claiming, oh, this happened and this, and then he spat on this person, but we don't have video proof of that. And we don't have any more context than what we have in front of us. And so that one person also claimed that he was taken away by cops. So if there is a police report, then we can have a discussion on it. But do I think he should be canceled for that? Not necessarily. Do I think he should be canceled because he's not that talented? Yes. So I'd rather go there than anything else. But either way, it's not cool. Either way, it's not cool because if that's someone that you don't know, you shouldn't be putting your hands on them at all, right? Like that's something that that's something that I have done to a friend before, where it's like you're not really choking them, you're playing around with them, you like literally carry them to the ground so they don't get hurt. Like I've done that before with friends. But with someone I don't know, no, that's a big no-no. That's a big no-no. So depending on the context, depending on all the other surrounding information, he could be in trouble for it. Legally could be in trouble for it. Tina says, context, bad movie experience. I have no idea. It was like a bunch of teens decided to see the movie instead of church groups, and they were screaming, running around. I hate that. I hate that, especially when they're in there for good movies. That's ridiculous. Nana Reaper says, I'm so sick of tyranny by the immunocompromised. Captain Wingster, Odin, have you ever made or planned to make a religious trek to Jerusalem? It's one of my bucket list items. I would love to go to Holy Land at some point. The two big bucket list items are Jerusalem, the Holy Land, and also to Rome and the Vatican as well. Though at this rate, to be perfectly honest and transparent, I think I might want to try. I mean, it's already not likely going to happen soon, but I might want to wait until we have a new pope, to be perfectly honest. He is still the Pope. I'm not denying him as being the Pope. I just have I have a lot of issues with the way things are going in the church right now, even well before this stuff started happening with shutting down churches. Oh, yeah. Nana Reaper says, Mass was traditionally given before battle on the field. Why can't this be the case for this now? Exactly. I mean, there are really amazing pictures, too, of priests giving communion to the sick. And there were like these amazing devices where the communion would be put onto essentially like the stick, and then it would be given to the communicant who would be sticking their head out the window to receive it on the tongue with this device. I mean, I just feel like back in the day, they did a hell of a lot more than what we're doing right now. And trust me, Nana Reaper, there are some brave, awesome priests out there that are saying no to their bishops, because I'm sorry, like I think that questions about bishops' authority are going to be very much on the table after all of this. I was already pissed enough because the bishop that is closely associated with my diocese tried to ban communion on the tongue, which a bishop has no right to do, by the way. If a bishop says they have the right to do it, or if a priest says they have the right to do that, you can easily show them a document from the Vatican themselves who say very clearly that the people can always have the right to receive in that way. But that's what started off my issues with everything going on. And then, of course, he canceled public services. And to me, this is just me speaking, cowardly act is what I think. Cowardly act. And it's sad because there are good bishops that have canceled services, but they are doing, like, they are at the very least trying their best, like going out to the intersection of a busy street with the Eucharist to bless the people as they drive by, right? At least, even though they're closing down the churches, they're doing something extra on top of it. At least they're doing that much. Whew. I'm getting heated. And I don't like it. I don't like getting mad. Let's see. Gannis and Leah Troll. It seems watching older movies refresh your soul, and that's what I'm doing now. Yeah, Gannison, man. Watch the films that have made you happy. Watch the films that have meant a lot to you, that bring about that sense of joy of cinema. That's the way to do it. For me, it's been diving into this project thing. And in fact, you know what? Here are the next movies to be digitized for anyone that's wanting to know. Like, I have so many movies in my collection, and I think after I'm digitized all of them, I'm going to realize, oh my gosh, I did not realize I had these many movies. But The Raid Redemption, the first Raid movie, fantastic. The Raid 2, also very good. Not as good story-wise as the first one, but still awesome. Rampart with Woody Harrelson, very good acting piece from Woody Harrelson. Reservoir Dogs, the 15th anniversary edition. It's Tarantino. What more need I say? Leonardo DiCaprio's Oscar-winning performance in The Revenant. Beautiful film. Natural lighting. But anyway, those are just some of the movies that I'm going to be digitizing over the next couple of days. So, Nana Reaper says, Dollar General also carry $1 six-packs made in America. Nice. Hardwick says, have you been keeping up with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation? There's new evidence coming out every week, and it keeps looking worse and worse for Amber Heard. I've seen the video, and I have mixed feelings on it because there was an audio tape released that was of a private conversation between the two. So one, I don't like that two people's private conversation got leaked. However, because of what we learn in that private conversation, that Amber Heard was the actual person abusing Johnny Depp in the situation. I think that Amber Heard, if it's shown clearly that she violated the law, she should be taken to the fullest extent of the law. You know, I'm not jumping onto the cancel culture bandwagon because I think that we are way too quick to jump onto that bandwagon a lot. I've done it myself too in the past. And for me, it's instead, let's find out the truth And then if I want to not see your movies because I think you're scum, I'm going to make that decision. And if a lot of people end up doing that and then your career becomes less because no one wants to see you anymore, all right. At least it happened naturally and not because we're boycotting or things like that. Soul Assassin says, what Zoom? It's a video think of it almost as Skype, just with different functionality as well. It's a way to have video chats and also record the conversations. GMonkey76, now that Disney owns the X-Men again, hopefully Rogue shows up in Captain Marvel too. Only if it's to steal her powers and tell Brie Larson to go bye-bye. Nana Reaper, Odin, if you are ever close to my home port when I am there and want a VIP tour of Container Ship, I will gladly give you one. Nice, dude. Well, I'm in Tennessee, so I don't know if you're ever in my area. Because I'm kind of, in the middle of the country a little bit. So, yeah, keep me posted, man. Kamikaze says, Hail Odin, God bless you, bro. God bless you, man. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Cab the Wingster, Ezra's a weird dude. I remember he tried to get Gal to say screw the patriarchy. Me too, man. And I'm glad she didn't. Though she did spend some time with Sigourney Weaver and Brie Larson to talk about female empowerment. So, you know what? She's not perfect either. But at least she's not as in your face with it as Brie Larson. Soul Assassin, Ezra said he has scars from fights. I think they were pillow fights. Well, here's the thing. I actually believe he's been in fights. Seeing him in that state tells me, okay, this guy probably has an alcohol problem, probably has a drug problem, probably needs to go to rehab. Makes me feel sorry for the guy, to be honest. And probably has been in fights because he got idiot drunk. Nana Reaper says, not a fan of the current Pope. Again, I pray for the Pope. I pray for his intentions all the time. He is a legitimate Pope. I'm not a sedevacantist. A sedevacantist is someone that thinks that the papacy is open and that we haven't had a legitimate Pope since whosoever. There's some people who are what's called benevacantists who think that Pope Benedict still did the real. I'm not that person. I believe Pope Francis was justly and rightly chosen. However, I think that he has been very, very, very toxic to our church because he has confused so many people about what Orthodox teaching is. And right now in our world, we don't need confusion. We need clarity. We need clarity in teaching. And having the Bishop of Rome canceling masses, public masses in Rome, and all this stuff, basically kowtowing to the civil authorities, I think is not the good message. I want those popes from yore that would have said, screw you, we're celebrating the Mass. Screw you, we are walking in procession through the streets of Rome, asking for forgiveness. That's what I want, man. All right. Let's see. Where are we in the chats? Captain Wingster says, Odin, I did study abroad in Italy for a semester back in college. I believe you would definitely like Rome. I mean, from the architecture, I would go to churches all day. That's what I would do. I would go into churches all day because the churches in Rome especially, that's what churches are supposed to look like. Here in the United States, we have so many of these 1970s style where it's a giant room. And that's all it is. It's a giant room. Sometimes it's white. Maybe there's a couple of images here and there. But it's like, how is this a place of worship? How can we call this a house of God? You go to Rome. You go to so many other places. You go to these old school cathedrals, Gothic architecture, etc. And you walk in and your heart is immediately lifted up saying, this has to be where God is, right? Now, obviously, I know that no matter what the church looks like, God is present in the Eucharist. I believe that. I trust in that. But if only our churches could do the same thing and lift our hearts to help us realize that. The reason why we have such ornate churches and ornate altars is not because it's, oh, look at how much money we have as a church. It's supposed to be, look at how glorious this faith is. Gosh, man, now it's getting me on. Ugh. So many tangents. Slicer Neon says, any guilty pleasure shows that normally have a woman target audience? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've mentioned these shows before. I got hugely into Vampire Diaries. Actually, don't laugh. The lore on Vampire Diaries is actually pretty good. Is it teen drama crap? Yes. But it actually has real vampires, not sparkly crap like Twilight. They'll rip out throats, things like that, wolves, etc. It actually has some pretty good lore to it that I like. I was into Gossip Girl for a little bit. not because I thought it was a good show, but because it was trash. And I was like, it was that show where I wanted to watch it just so that I can go, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is a thing. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. So yeah, those would be a couple examples I get. Nana Reaper says, seems like we need to dig up the manual of Knights Hospitaller. They care for sick during the Crusades and those dying of plague. Yeah, absolutely. Nana Reaper says, heated Odin is passionate Odin. Damn right, man. Damn right. Gannis and Leader Troll, it seems all over the world that places of faith are closed down. It's sad. It is sad. Of people of all faiths and all backgrounds. Captain Wingster, Odin, I've recently rewatched The Lord of the Rings. I remember when movies were good. Yeah, that's something that I've digitized it recently, and I would like to rewatch that again. I'm slowly watching movies now, guys. It's great. But also, getting back to your point, Gannison, it's sad also to see people get arrested for showing their faith in public. Like that makes me mad. All right. Hardwick says, what would be your reaction if Captain Marvel 2 had Carol Danvers' powers being taken away by Rogue, played by Kristen Stewart? No! I like the first part of that, and then you had to mention Kristen Stewart. Hell no, that would be crap. That would be terrible. Gannison says, Amber Heard had great things coming for her. It's sad. Why do Hollywood actors are stupid to ruin their career? The reason why is because it's all the attention they get. They get all this attention. They don't know how to handle it. And so they go to things like drugs, they go to things like alcohol, or they go into themselves, right? They fall into their egos. They get addicted to something, whether it's an actual, item like drinks or drugs, or whether it's their own egos. They become obsessed with it. They do not know how to handle fame. And that's why if there's any other silver lining to this, I think that a lot of stars are realizing how little importance they really have in the world. And I think that they need to realize that and take this huge slice of humble pie that they are not all that in a bag of chips. That they should be just like everyone else. Their career's just different. And hopefully also this leads to them not getting paid as much money as they are, because they are way overpaid. Yes, it's their occupation and they should get paid for it, but to get paid millions of dollars to read some lines and act? Hell no. Absolutely not. There are a lot more important jobs that do a lot more hard work and more important life-saving work in the world that deserve more money than that. So hopefully this wakes people up to that. Nano Reaper says, Ezra looks like he has anger issues. He looks like he has a lot of issues. He looks like he has a lot of issues, that's for sure. A lot of issues. Let us see here. Father says, since John the 23rd. Okay, since Pius the 12th. Yeah, it's been, let's say, Sede Vacantis, they go that far back. There has not been a legitimate pope since Pius the 12th. Yeah, definitely not me. Not my cup of tea. Hardwick says, what would you do if the next pope was a Southern Baptist? Well, it's impossible. That wouldn't happen. Yeah, that's impossible to happen. They have to be a baptized Christian male, and by baptized, it's into the Catholic faith. Is like the most basic requirement. But historically, recently, they also have to be a member of the College of Cardinals, and all the College of Cardinals allegedly are Catholic, though I question some of them, and I pray for them too. But yeah, the next pope's not going to be a Southern Baptist. And if for any reason somehow that did happen, and he clearly says, I'm a Southern Baptist and here's what I believe, then that pope would be deposed. That pope would be kicked out of office for basically not upholding true teaching. Nana Reaper says, wait, isn't the Pope the supreme ruler of the Catholic Church and ruler of papal states, so therefore the Vatican City is a nation in itself, so the Pope is civil authority? Yes and no. Basically, because Italy is basically, I would say there is a sense of independence to it, but it also seems like Italian officers, or at least Italian authorities, have some jurisdiction in there too. So I think it's like this weird mixture of things. Also, unfortunately, the Papal States have not, the Papal States are no more. Going to Hobbit, your thoughts on Trump's top economist saying economy could reopen in 4 to 8 weeks? Hey, if that happens, great. I think what he means by that is that it starts to reopen and not back at full blast, and I would be okay with that because I think the economy needs to get back going again. I think it needs to happen. Alex McCarthy says, I was supposed to have spine surgery yesterday. I blame Carol Baskin. Everything needs to be blamed on Carol Baskin. I'm sorry that hasn't that surgery been delayed now a couple times? I'm sorry to hear that, man. I hope that you're able to get it soon. Jumping over to D Live. Tunisia is what I pronounce that as. Let's see. Adam says, like in Spaceballs, direct to movie even before the film is finished. Exactly. Captain Peabody, I once went out with a girl that could bench press me. Granted, I have never been heavy. That sounds badass, man. He also says, Mandy is all that and a bag of chips and a slice of lemon. Yes. He's talking there about Mandy Moore. The love of his life. Captain K-Man bringing out the and a bag of chips line. Haven't heard anyone say that in a long time. Well, you're welcome for that, Captain K-Man. You're welcome. It's the very least that I can do. It's the very least. 75 people in here. Smash that like button, please. It helps me out a lot. Jeremy Swiggs, I came into a stream at the Ask That and a Bag of Chips, and all I thought was thank you, Jeremy Swiggs. Absolutely. All that and a bag of chips. Damn right. Kamikaze, any baptized Catholic male can validly be appointed pope. Yeah. So again, the only restriction is that they have to be a baptized Catholic pope. However, if you're a baptized Catholic male. However, if you're not yet a priest, you would be first ordained a deacon, then you would be ordained a priest, then you would be ordained a bishop, and then that's when you would be pope. That has not happened in a very, I don't know if it's ever happened from that perspective. But if it hasn't happened in many, many, many centuries. But basically nowadays, it's always I can't remember the last time a pope was chosen outside of the College of Cardinals. So, Father Christopher Miller says, but what if the pope was a convert who wasn't baptized Catholic, but another denomination that the church recognizes as valid? Ooh, I see what you're doing there. And you already know the answer. Let us see here. All right, Gannis and Lita Troll. Have you seen Grave of the Fireflies? Great Japanese anime and movie. It's a story about Japanese point of view during World War II. I own it. I've not seen it yet. I've heard it's very, very sad, which is why I've kind of been waiting on it for a long time. But yeah. Father Christopher Miller says, watch Scarlet and the Black. You'll see how Vatican City as a nation worked. Awesome. Kamikaze says, Jesus is the head of the Catholic Church. The Pope is the leader of his office, not rank. He has equal rank as a bishop. Well, so the Pope is a bishop, but he is the visible head of the church. And because after Vatican I, papal infallibility was established, which means the Pope can, on his own, without the rest of the bishops, declare statements that are infallible. Now, we haven't had a pope issue an infallible statement that was not also generally agreed upon by the rest of the universal church as well, but theoretically. But yeah, so Jesus is the head of the church, right? We are the body of Christ. Jesus is the head. The pope is the vicar of Christ, is the visible head of Christ on earth. Hardwick says, I still don't understand why Zack Snyder cast Ezra Miller as Flash. Snyder usually likes a hyper-masculine in his characters, but he went the opposite route with Miller. Well, there's a lot of questions that we have to ask, right? One, did he actually cast the person? Or was the studio involved and said, no, we want this person because we want representation? Again, we really don't know. And Zack Snyder is also notorious for having terrible movies. I'm just being honest. 70B, hey, all you cool cats and kittens, what's going on? Alex McCarthy says, my one WWE comment of the night, I give WrestleMania a B. Few matches were made. Taker, Edge, Bray were the best ones. Dude, the graveyard, or no, the Bones, was it? The Skull and Bones match, the Grave and Bones match, that was awesome. Boneyard. The Boneyard match was fantastic. I love that. Made Taker look better. You need to have those kind of edits with him at his age to make it work. So I thought that was brilliant. And the Firefly Funhouse match was so good. It was so meta, and I loved it. Also, yes, the Edge. Oh my gosh, the story that was told in that Last Man Standing match was great. Gannon says, due to all this pandemic, there is a positive side. Our beloved Earth is healing. Yeah, one could definitely make that point. Father Christopher Miller says, that's what they did with St. Ambrose. Wasn't Catholic when he was made a bishop. Ah, interesting. Captain. Wasn't Catholic or St. Ambrose? Or wasn't wasn't a priest or bishop? Oh, I see what you mean. So he was a convert. He was a convert, and so they brought him into the faith. Is that what you mean? Kyler Wingster, Odin, how many different sects of Christians are there? I only know specifically about Roman Catholics and Protestants. Oh, there are thousands of denominations. So you got Roman Catholic, you got Eastern Orthodox, you have Eastern Catholic, and then of those groups I've just mentioned, there are subsections of those groups. However, the largest groups of various, like the one that has the largest number of subsections are Protestants. There are well over 1,000 denominations among Protestants. Where the Catholic Church would say, even though we have different faith traditions, there is still only one church. So even though there's an Eastern Catholic Church, it is still in union with Rome and is therefore part of the one church. Tina says, I heard a Zack Snyder interview ages ago about Justice League. He said he never considered Grant Gustin for the movie version, claimed he didn't think Grant was right fit. And yet I think Grant, and that he's from the Flash TV series, I thought he was great. Let's see. Tina says, but Snyder really didn't explain why Ezra Miller or why he thought he was right for Flash, but the man actually playing Flash was not. Hope that makes sense. Yes, that does. Kamikaze says, ex cathedra from the seat. Yes. Ex cathedra, he can make an infallible statement ex cathedra. Yeah. Jeremy Spigg says, I'm actually independent fundamental Baptist, but it's cool. We can all enjoy what we have in common here with different views without arguing. I love the Phantom Menace and O's Movie Blog. Well, thank you very much, Jeremy Spiggs. And yeah, this is a home for everyone, right? And I try not to get into the political or into the religious stuff too much because I don't want to, isolate anybody. But yeah, I'm glad that we're able to have these discussions too in a civil way. It's great. Father Christopher Miller says, actually, women's ordination is one issue where it was infallibly declared, but also still reject it. Wait, what? Oh, but a lot still reject it. Yeah. Well, I actually have that document. So basically, yeah, women's ordination has been clearly stated for a long time. And then in 1996, John Paul II was like, okay, this has been the teaching for a long time, and yet there are still people that are putting these commissions together to talk about whether it's possible. And so what he did was, using the authority of his office, he said, let me just make it definitively clear that this is not how it's, like, this cannot happen, right? That this cannot happen. So, but yet people are still doing it, Father. Drives me crazy. Because people still have it in their mind that by saying that, oh, that's the church being sexist, and oh, that's so discriminatory, and women should be important too. Women can be. Keep in mind, you want to know who the most important human being other than Christ himself is in the church? Mary, the mother of God, right? The Theotokos. Mary is one of the most important persons in the life of Christ, his mother, and yet even she was not an apostle. She was a disciple, a follower, but she was not an apostle. So, I mean, there's really nothing to go past that point. Kamikaze, the Pope is the Bishop of Rome. Yes, he is. But he's also the leader of the Universal Church. He is also the head of the Universal Church. Kamikaze says, Grant Gustin should now be front and center for the DCU Flash film. That could be cool. Father Christian Miller says, Ambrose wasn't baptized when he was appointed a bishop. That's interesting. That is very interesting. But he had to be in order to take on the role. Hardwick says, are you familiar with the channel Nerdette's Newsstand? She has almost daily updates with new information on the Depp Heard situation. I've heard of it. I don't follow it, though, because that kind of stuff doesn't really interest me that much. Father says, the story of Ambrose's appointment to bishop is a story to read. Nice. Do you have any recommendations on that? Let us see here. All right, we do have to start to wrap things up. Father says Roman Catholic Latin Rite is only one of 27 rites within the church. Yeah, so much less, but still a part of the one faith. It's just different, as he says, rites. Basically what it means is there's different rituals in that. There's different ways to celebrate the Mass, etc. Nana Reaper says to someone else. Gannison Elite Troll, gotta go cook some breakfast. Hope you and your family are doing well. These are hard times. You too, Gannison. Enjoy your breakfast, man. Hardwick says, I still find it weird that they're making an Uncharted movie with Tom Holland instead of Nathan Fillion. They ought to hurry up and make one with Nathan Fillion while he's still young enough. I agree, man. Nathan Fillion, I think, would fit that role best. I've never played Uncharted, but just the picture side by side, he definitely fits it. Father says, read one word after another slowly. Never. I will never do that, Father. Never, never, never. Father says, Mary? No, you don't say. Nah. Nana Reaper, women in the church are important. See Mother Teresa. Exactly. Look at also to the fact that there's female doctors of the church. It basically comes down to people think, oh, if you're a priest, you're better. No, not at all. In fact, I think in our current times, we realize that there are many priests that are bad people. It's not saying that you're better than someone. It just says you have a different vocation in life. Orange Hat Reviews, is there such a thing of selecting a pope through proclamation, through adoration, or is that just a movie thing? Proclamation through adoration. Do you mean like by popularity? That's how it was done in the very beginning. So early on in the church, since he is the Bishop of Rome, oftentimes it would be the local community that would end up choosing the pope. Obviously, we can understand why that could be problematic, and that's why eventually the College of Cardinals was established to try and tone down, because obviously that could lead to a lot of corruption, could lead to a lot of bad choices. However, also the College of Cardinals, being made up of humans, can also lead to corruption, etc. But that used to happen, where people there's at least one case where there was someone that was a monk who was known to be holy, living in isolation, right? Living in isolation, but the community knew about him, and they said, he needs to be our pope. And so literally they drag him out of his cave and say, you are the pope now. So that kind of stuff used to happen before things changed. And I think overall it changed for the better, because I don't know if we'd be able to get through that right now. Father says, well, then you'll continue to misread my messages. Never. Maybe you should just take your time with those messages a little bit. Glenzer says, in the Bay Area, atheists are aplenty, and they often demean religion. Curiously, I've never heard a religious person demean an atheist. Yeah, and let's just be fair to atheist agnostics. There are a lot of them out there that are respectful and that are good people, living out good lives. But I definitely think you do, in that area of the country especially, I would say that's where your highest concentration, I would say big cities, big liberal cities, is where you'll find your biggest concentration of anti-religion atheists, right? There's one thing to be an atheist agnostic. It's another thing to be an anti-religion atheist agnostic. Father says, parents of St. Therese, the little flower, are up for sainthood. Yeah. All right. Hardwick, Nathan Drake was inspired by Nathan Fillion in the first place. Fillion also starred in an Uncharted fan film years ago. Have you seen it? No, I have not seen it. I've heard about it. I've seen clips of it. I'm not an Uncharted fan, so I really don't have a desire to see it. Kamikaze says, priesthood in service to the body of Christ through disposal of the sacraments as a main point. If you mean that, the priests, one of their main occupations is to provide the sacraments, and that's why it's so frustrating during these times. Don't tell me I mispronounced anything, Father. Sorry, Therese. Sorry, should I say Therese of Lisieux? Therese of Lisieux? I'll say it how I want, Father. Kamikaze, have you watched the movie Brothers, Sun, Sister, Moon? I have never seen that in my life. Alrighty, nothing over on me on D-Live. Everyone's caught up on YouTube, so thank you everyone tonight for joining me on the channel. We are right at time. It's been a good time. Sorry if we got off the rails a little bit, bringing in discussions of faith, but going back just to the main point one more time. AMC theaters, right now, its credit rating has been downgraded by the S&P to the point of it being very unlikely to recover. There's a very good chance that AMC will shut down. There's a very good chance that AMC will, at the very least, have to sell off assets and potentially close a lot of theaters. So what is the future of the movie industry? Right now, a giant question mark is next to that, because we might not get theaters open to any capacity until June. and to normal capacity until July, August. So we're in scary times. We're in interesting times, to say the least. And all we can really do is, if you like going to the movie theater, try and support your local theater as much as you can. Going back to a previous conversation we had the other day, we talked a little bit about how we have comic shops, right, that are struggling. And in order, if you want those shops to stay open, you got to support them the best way that you can. Same thing with local theaters too. Whatever we can do, especially when they reopen, is to try and go out of our way to support them, go out of our way to show them that we still want those theaters there and that we still want these local theaters and that there's a lot of benefits that they have. So anyway, thank you all so much for your time and for your patience. Stephanie B., I see you. Father, see you as well. We got Captain K-Man dropping 2 ice creams. Thank you very much, good sir. Adam in the clan is going to be dropping a crap ton of lemons like he normally does. So thank you for those lemons, Adam. Guys, you guys are freaking awesome. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here tonight. To all those, so TFM Night, thank you for your super chats. To the D-Live fan, thank y'all so much for your donations too. If you want to continue to support the channel, please follow me on Patreon or Subscribestar or become a member on the channel. Also, of course, you can donate through PayPal, you can donate through YouTube, you can donate through Streamlabs. All of these things help me to provide for more giveaways for the channel and also to buy more stuff to put into the channel. All the stuff that goes into the PayPal fund goes back into the channel, either in giveaways or in equipment that we can use to try and increase things here and to talk about other things. So thank you all so much for your time and for your patience. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for being here. And let me just shout out my patrons and Subscribestar peeps. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Stay safe. We'll get through this. See y'all on Saturday unless something else crazy happens. Also, one last thing. If you're at the $10 or up level on Subscribestar, Patreon, or on YouTube, if you're at the Keeper of the Bifrost level, me and John Flickinger are indeed working on a podcast. The sad thing is that he sleeps in until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon because he stays up all night. And I like recording things earlier on. So we've had a lot of issues scheduling when we're going to go and podcast together. I think we finally have a time tomorrow. So be looking forward to that. There is a question and answer portion of that show. So if you're at that level, look to the community tab on YouTube. If you're a member there, there's already a Q&A thing posted. If you're a member on Subscribestar at that level or on Patreon, there's also post there already too. It's been up now for about a week or so because we've been pushing it back this long. So if you have questions that you want to ask me or John Flickinger, the Flick Pick, go ahead and leave those there. And also any topics that you might want us to talk about either tomorrow or on future episodes, you can leave those there as well. So thank you guys for your attention. Thank you for your love. Smash that like button as well on the way out. Love you guys as always, and God bless. And now a huge shout out to my April Patreon and Subscribestar members. We have animation commentator Brian P., Dion, Divex, Elizabeth M., Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, Hail Father, Frank the Tank in the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, The Hunker Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Intertrap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, J.J. Jonathan Jerembeck, Kenneth Cameo, Lady T, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Perpetual Punster, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, The DJD Show, and Tina B. And to my Subscribestar members, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Dark Star 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J. Rod the Beer Guru, Nebadon G. Adams, and ZK Man. I'm going to go ahead and leave that blank spot just previously in case any more people decide to become a Patreon or Subscribestar member over the next few days. Just remember that as soon as you sign up, you are immediately eligible for any of the benefits. If you just sign up at the $1 tier on Subscribestar or Patreon, you get a shout out at the end of every single video, including my live streams. If you're a $5 or up backer on either platform, you get access to exclusive giveaways where I give away several 4K Blu-rays, digital copies every single month. month as well. If you jump up to the $10 tier on either platform, you get access to all of that. Plus, you get access to an exclusive podcast that I do with my friend John the Flick Pick of John Flickinger and the Flick Pick fame. We do a bi-weekly podcast, so every 2 weeks or so we do one. So you get probably about 2 or 3 depending on what's going on, probably more so now with everything going on in the craziness of our world. But you do get access to that. Also, if you are at that $10 tier, it means that you get to take part in the Q&A part of that podcast. And so about 24 to 48 hours before the podcast, maybe even longer beforehand, I'll leave a post in the Patreon Subscribe Star. You'll be able to leave a comment on a question that you want us to answer, on a topic that you want us to cover in a future podcast as well. All of that you have access to. And if you're a $25 backer and up, you get all of those things. Plus, you get a t-shirt for your first month. That's right. You get a free t-shirt, high quality Odin's Movie Vlog t-shirt. So just make sure if you're at a $25 and up backer level, you leave your address. That way I know where to send that to. And also I will be messaging you to get your size information. That way I can send that out to you as quickly as possible. But you also get access to an exclusive Chosen of Valhalla live stream that we have once a month on this channel, where I invite you to be on the show. You can either show your face or not show your face, or hey, you don't have to show up at all. It's totally up to you. And we talk about a wide variety of things. We talk about movies that you've been watching, modern things going on, the pop culture, and pretty much anything that you yourself want to talk about. So if any of these things sound interesting to you and things that you'd want to do, please hit that Patreon Subscribe Star link in the description of this video and think about joining today. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And as always, God bless.